Hi, this is Julia Blackman, and this is my sixth 6 weeks extra credit project for Algebra 2. I'm going to be talking about half-life equations today, half-life problems. So the equation for half-life is A equals P times 1/2 to the T over H. And so what that means is A is the final amount of whatever substance you have. P is the starting amount / the principal, which is why it's P. 1/2. T is the time, and H is the half-life. So some common mistakes when you're solving these problems are people will switch the letters, like A and P, for example, and you'll come up with the wrong answer. Or even more common is using the wrong unit of time. So if you're supposed to be using hours, if you use years instead, you're obviously going to come up with a very different number. So my first problem is you have a 300 milligram sample of solution X, which has a half-life of 15 hours. How much will remain after 3 hours? So that means we're going to have to find A, which is the final amount, how much will remain. So our initial amount is 300 milligrams, so I plug that into the P, and you have 1/2, and then 3 hours is going to be the time, and then the half-life is 15 hours. And this one's easy because we have hours and hours, the same unit of time. So take your calculator, and you're just going to plug that in. So 0.5 raised to the power of 3 divided by 15. And you get that long decimal, and then you can go ahead and multiply that times 300, and you come up with your answer of about 261.17, because you'll round the 6, because the 5, milligrams of your substance. And that is the final answer. Number 2 is very similar. If you have a 425 milligram sample of solution Y, which has a half-life of 2 hours, how much will remain after 20 hours? You do the same thing. You plug in 425 to the principal times 1/2 to the power of 2, which is the amount of hours. Oh, sorry. This one's a mistake. So the time is going to be 20 hours actually, over 2, which is the half-life. So always check your work, folks. When you plug that in, 0.5 raised to 20 divided by 2 times 425. I'm going to do that again just to make sure I did it right. You will have 0.415 milligrams, and that is the final answer. Okay, for number 3, it's a little bit different. If you have about 315 milligrams of solution Z after it has been breaking down for 3 hours, so that means it's going to be your final amount, not your starting amount. If solution Z has a half-life of 6 hours, how many milligrams did you start off with? So this time we're trying to find P, which I substituted as X just to be consistent with the variables. So you're trying to find X. You have 315 because that is your final amount. After 4 hours, which is your time, and then you have your 6 hours half-life. So this time you're still going to do the 0.5 raised to the power of whatever it is, 4 divided by 6. And so you get this decimal. And so now, to find X, you have to divide both sides by this fraction, or this decimal. So 315 divided by 0.62996 is going to equal about 500 milligrams exactly, which was my original plan. So that is how you solve half-lives. And that's about it.